What's up, guys? We're back again with a second review in 1 week. What?
Whoa.
So we're here talking about Maxxxine, and we'll have a lot to say in just a second.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
What's up? Welcome back to another Odd Popcorn for that review. I'm Chris.
I'm Nick.
And before we get started on this review, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We got videos like this every week. And comment below if you've seen this movie. We would love to hear, especially this time, we would love to hear what you think about this movie. So please comment below whatever you think. But we got to get into Maxxxine. So what is the movie Maxxxine about?
In the 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxxxine Minx finally gets her big break. But as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Hollywood, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past.
Yeah, so it takes place in like 85 or something, and it's like during the thing with the Night Stalker, which is happening in the city that they're, I mean, like, it's happening right here.
Has zero relevance to
It
the
has
movie, though.
nothing to do with anything.
But they like to talk about it throughout the movie.
Yeah, so before we get completely into it, you know, you do kind of want to have seen X and Pearl before this. This is the third part of a trilogy. I realize it's an unconventional trilogy because you've got X and then Pearl is like a many years before prequel, but they are all connected, and you kind of do want some kind of knowledge of that going into this. But it's the worst one.
By far.
It's the worst one, man.
The other ones weren't great, but this one.
I liked Pearl a lot. I thought X was a little underwhelming. I saw them in the wrong order. I was really impressed with Pearl. And then we just did watch the other night another Ty West movie, which was The House of the Devil, and I was a little underwhelmed with that. So I guess I kind of went into, but I still thought, like, the trailer looked cool. I liked the vibe of this. And before we get too into it, like, I will say, there's some shots and like some costume design and like the look of the movie started out kind of cool.
The 80s and LA part of it was done really well.
Unfortunately, like, that 80s aesthetic has been like, we have gone down that nostalgia road a lot in the last few years. Like, 80s nostalgia is kind of the thing of the moment. It feels like it's about to wear itself out. But I did like the look of it, and I thought, like, I liked all these tracking shots, and there's some cool things to like there. But, man, pretty early on, I'm, like, waiting for something to grab me and waiting for something to make me like this movie. And it just felt like it kept losing me worse and worse. And at the peak of it, I am hating it the most.
And I mean, the intro's like her as a little girl and her dad's filming her for whatever reason and saying this stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. And as you're going along, like, oh, well, the dad's gonna show back up at some point, and that's exactly what it is. I guess spoilers, sorry. But
I remember thinking at the very beginning, like, whoever's behind the camera doing the voice acting for this dad is like overacting a lot. Like, I don't like the way they're doing that. And when he comes back, he is certainly the most overacting out of anyone in this movie, and he's not the only one doing it, but man, this guy
he's hamming it up.
That was rough. I don't know if he was asked to do that, and like, otherwise maybe otherwise he's a great performer and he was just asked by Ty West to perform this way. But it just felt like, especially after watching The House of the Devil, it felt like, okay, we need to do another thing where we're not talking about like the satanic panic in the 80s again and again and again. It just, that's the route it went again. And we gotta remind ourselves of, like, you know, she's talking about the psycho house. We're on set talking about the psycho house and like never expecting an old lady, you know. And it's like, we saw your other movies, man.
We get it, yeah.
I noticed too that you took inspiration from Psycho. Yeah, the dad. Let's get into that part.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a super Southern Baptist preacher guy. I don't know, but it was terrible.
He feels like he's like lost his daughter, but they cram all this in at the very end, which seems to be the style.
You know what it kind of remind me of?
What's that?
Is Quentin Tarantino's role in was it Dogma, where he's like the street preacher, like the end is nigh.
Oh, I don't remember.
He's like the blind preacher. Yeah, he kind of reminded me of that character.
He's just extremely like overzealous preacher, I guess, and she's like run away and become the celebrity in the adult film industry, and so he's decided to make his own movie, which is about how Hollywood, I can't remember what it's called, but it's about how Hollywood is like taking our youth from us and destroying them and destroying our morality. But this movie, his whole acting style is really over the top campy. But this movie that he's making is like, by the time we're at this part of the movie where he's making a movie inside the movie, that you have lost me so hard. It was really hard to sit through anything involving that like fake movie inside the movie. And then kind of again, which we've said a bunch recently, it kind of ended. And then it picks up and continues on for a little while longer.
It could have ended about 10 minutes before it did, at least.
I just don't think this was the right way to wrap this up. I don't know that it needed a movie after Pearl at all. But if you felt like you had to make it a trilogy, this was not the way to do it. And it almost felt like at the end, maybe they're going to want to make another one.
Yeah, they could have.
Like they might make one about the origin of her story.
Mm-hmm.
So I am no longer asking for any more movies in the sequel. I guess Pearl was the fluke here.
Yeah, it was definitely the best one.
You know, X got some praise, and then when I saw it, I thought a little overrated. So I strongly recommend just go watch X and Pearl all you want, but I would just skip this one entirely. What a crazy miss for somebody that, like, it seems like people thought this guy's on a hot streak and he's about to like really knock it out of the park. This is the home run.
Yeah, I don't have any faith in any of his movies going forward. I have no interest.
Real disappointment.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
I mean, the trailer didn't do a whole lot for me, but I just thought this was one to look out for this year.
Yeah.
It's also completely devoid of horror. Like,
yeah,
there's really no horror.
Not horror at all.
There's a little bit of, like, I guess you could call it gore.
Yeah.
But it's, like, very much practical effects to the point where it feels like they want you to know that they're using, like, rubber.
Yeah, I mean,
for the sake of it.
The blood kind of reminded me of Deep Red.
Yeah.
Like that, like, thick, like, paint-looking blood.
And then there's a scene where, like, a fake rubber head lands, and it's supposed to be a real severed head.
Like, you can see the bounce and wobble to it.
You can see the wobble to
sure.
it, which it makes it almost feels like he's, like, paying homage to, like, old special effects or something. But if that's the case, it didn't work for me. It didn't do anything for me. I was getting the vibe in that theater, like, this isn't really working for anybody. Did you get that vibe?
Kind of. I mean, people around us were like just giggling at it, I feel like.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it was landed for anybody. And I don't think anybody was really sitting there sticking around at the end. Like, everybody kind of got up immediately and we got out of there. So maybe other people are going to like this, but not for us. So what would you rate it?
I mean, I'm going to be a 1. I don't care for this movie.
Yeah, I'll give it a 2 for the sake of, like, I've seen plenty of worse movies, but I strongly don't recommend it. So, you know, it's shot well and some things like that, but nothing to bring it any higher than that.
The story is just
not
there.
The story's bad. So yeah, unfortunately, go watch
Pearl. I think that's the only decent one.
Yeah, go watch Pearl. Or if you're gonna see some in theaters, watch Kinds of Kindness.
Yeah.
Or like Inside Out too, like the third time that you've
already
seen
come
it.
out. So.
But yeah, we appreciate you watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
We'll see you.